Hi and welcome to today's class. It is the 20th of May and this is class number 107. So today we're working through book 5 and this is chapter 5.2. So we're continuing with financial maths and we're going to focus in on depreciation. So we have two types of depreciation. We have straight line depreciation and reducing balance depreciation. So we're going to focus in on the reducing balance depreciation. And you may have met this if you did junior cert business or if you're doing any of the business subjects now at Leaving Cert. If you haven't met it, we're going to explain it in a bit more detail. So depreciation. Depreciation is a reduction in value of an asset, which is just an object, due to the passing of time. So for example, a car which is brand new, so imagine something that is 201 CW, that will be much more, so value-wise, than the same make and model of a car that is 3 years older. So imagine it's 171 CW. So this loss in value is called depreciation. So we talk about objects or these assets, these are objects of value, they depreciate. So this is considered to be the opposite of interest. And what we're going to focus on is reducing balance. So our formula is available on this financial maths page of our log tables, and you'll notice that we have two depreciation formulas. The first one that we're going to look at here looks very similar to our compound interest formula. The only difference is the interest that I is being taken away rather than adding on like in compound interest. If we talk about the straight line method for depreciation, there's a formula here, but you wouldn't really need to know it. It would be if something depreciates by the same value every year. So for example, if I buy a car and it costs me 5,000 and I'm going to hold it for 5 years, then each year it'll depreciate by 1,000 and then 5 years it'll be worth nothing. So each year it has the same depreciation. Now, unfortunately, it's not as simple as that because if you think about it, the older the car, the less it will depreciate. So a newer car will lose a lot more of its value. And that's what the reducing balance method does. So it's a lot more realistic. And this is the one we're going to focus on today. So let's take an example. A company buys a new machine priced at 35,000. The machine depreciates by 20% on a reducing balance basis each year. What is the value of the machine be in 4 years' time? So let's take our formula. It's F is equal to P bracket 1 minus I to the power of T. Just like before, F is the future or final value, P is the current or present value, I is the interest rate, or in this case, the depreciation rate. However, it must be given in decimal. And then T is going to be, in this case, 4. So this is part I. So F is equal to 35,000, 1 minus 0.2 to the power of T, which is 4, and that can go into your calculator. And this gives us €14,336. So each year it depreciates a little bit less, and that will give the same percentage depreciation each year. So it depreciates by 20%, but 20% of a lower number is obviously smaller. So the second part of this question, by how much has the machine depreciated during this time? So to find that, we look at the value of the machine at the start and the value of the machine at the end of the 4 years, and we take them away. And that gives us 20,664, and that's how much the machine has depreciated during this time. Example 2. A garage has a petrol stock of 100,000 litres. If the manager estimates that he will sell 4,000 litres a day, or B, that he will sell 5% of his stock a day, calculate the difference in his estimates. Now, this does not say depreciation, so how would we know it's a depreciation question? Well, we're talking about starting with a certain amount and then saying, well, we're going to reduce it by, in one case, 4,000 litres a day. That would be the equivalent to like a straight line depreciation. And in the other case, 5% of his stock per day. Now, there's no quick way to do that without our formula, because if you get 5% of 1,000 and take it away, then you have to get 5% of that new number, and so on. So A, our straight line method, we have 20 days. So if you have 4,000 litres a day by 20 days, that is 80,000 litres. So that's how much he sells. Okay, that's his estimate. So then B, we're going to say, well, he starts with this. So I'm going to set up my formula. F is equal to P, bracket 1 minus I to the power of T, where P is 100,000. I is 5%, but remember that should always be in decimal, 0.05, and T is 20 days. So F is equal to 100,000, 1 minus 0.05 to the power of 20. That can go into your calculator, and that gives us 35,848.59. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to round it up to the nearest whole number. So that is 849 litres. Now, just be careful. In part A, we estimated that this is what he would sell. Effectively, what we've done here in part B is we've figured out how much he will be left with. Okay, so that's what's left. That's the future of his petrol stock. So we need to figure out how much he sold. So in order to do that, we have our 100,000, take away what we've said we will have left. That gives us 64,151 litres. So now we want to calculate the difference between A and B. So we have 80,000 is A, 64,151, and the difference there is going to be 15,849. So although we're talking about litres of petrol, this gives you a good indication of how the straight line method may overestimate how much your asset will depreciate. Now, there are some assets where straight line depreciation may be absolutely fine. It's important to note that not everything depreciates in value. So things like houses tend to appreciate, which means go up in value. Sometimes depreciation goes down like on a car until it becomes a classic car. So after a huge amount of time, the price actually starts going up again. So this tends to work over shorter periods, and it's really just about applying that formula.